Hey everyone, welcome to episode 1 of my Read and Watch series. I've been wanting to make a video like this for a while where I read the book and then watch the TV show or movie adaptation. I've seen many people do these kind of one-off videos for it, but I figured because I have so many books that I want to do this for, why not just turn it into a series on my channel? So for the first one, I gotta get my glasses on for this, it's only fitting. We are going to be doing a Harry Potter part 1 where I'm reading books 1 through 4 and then every time I finish a book, we watch the movie. Let's get started. Okay, I just want to pop in and give a quick reading update. And a disclaimer for this video, it's going to include spoilers. I think Harry Potter as a series is just really widely known. A lot of people have watched the movies, a lot of people have read the books, so I just don't think it's worth it to try to avoid all spoilers at all costs. So if this is something that you don't want at all, this video just probably isn't for you. But first reading update, I'm about 80 pages in. This book overall is about 300 pages, so it should be a pretty quick read. But I've just liked seeing the very tiny details and being able to notice that. I've watched all the movies several times, and I love going to Universal. I love seeing this world brought to life. I love the butterbeer. I really love the butterbeer. And it's just, yeah, I enjoy it. So I've liked reading this so far and just being able to notice those small differences. I'll probably say things more when I'm like actually watching the movie, but book 1, we're on a good track. Right now he's just getting all his supplies to go to Hogwarts, which I saw. Hogwarts starts September 1st. That's next Friday. So I feel like I need to make like a post about it, which at this point when you guys are seeing this, you already know if I did, but I just love Harry Potter so much. Okay, I'm going to continue reading this and give you an update as I get a little further along. Popping in to give another reading update. So I'm now on page 180, so I'm a little over halfway, and I have just really enjoyed this because while if possible I would like to now start reading books before the movies or shows come out, I don't mind it here because I'm just envisioning the characters in the movies as I go. So when like people are described a little differently possibly in the books, I'm not upset by it because I'm just envisioning the actors and actresses that play the characters. Now, I officially came across one of the big things that's not in any of the movies that's a part of every book, and that's Peeves. Oh my god. That freaking ghost, man. I'm telling you, he's trouble. But he's not in any of the movies, and I do remember that. Like, when I discovered that, I was like, what? My homie. I'm still enjoying it, and now we're to the point where they just beat the troll, so they just saved everyone, like as in Harry and Ron saved Hermione from the troll killing her, but then Hermione came through and saved them from getting in trouble, and so it's really the beginning of their wonderful long friendship. That's my reading update for now, and I may update you before I finish it again, or I'll just update you whenever I've finished the book. I just finished book 1. Oh my gosh. I love Harry Potter. Harry Potter overall, like just every movie is a very just comfort thing for me. When I think of Harry Potter, I just feel all warm and fuzzy. So I loved reading this and just having all those cozy vibes. And again, nothing was a spoiler to me because it's like I've already watched the movies. I know generally what happens. So it's just cool watching this unfold in book form and like getting extra details and just different scenes, not different, I guess, just extra scenes shown in here that aren't in the movie that I know of. So I'm excited to watch the movie Ugh, book 1 done. Okay guys, it's finally time to watch Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Okay guys, book 1, movie 1, they're done. So I will say, this was such a neat experience, especially reading the book today and then watching the movie adaptation at night. Like, it was all so fresh in my head. There was no major things that were changed in the movie that really changed the story. I mean, again, I think I talked about this before, like, there hasn't been major talks of that. So, like, a couple things that stuck out to me after watching the movie was, like, I wish Homeboy Peeves had a speaking part. Come on, guys. Come on. Another thing that stuck out to me was, I think when they all got detention, I swear in the book, Neville was there because Neville like got hurt, whatever, and he was coming back from the hospital wing, and he ran it, and he ended up being the one that got detention with Hermione and Harry and Draco. But in the movie, Ron basically replaced Neville and was a part of that journey. Also, I don't think I realized this, but in the books, because I remember some future books too, but like especially book 1, even it shows like the head nurse person of the hospital wing, she is a sassy woman. Like, she is all over everyone about making sure they get their rest. But I don't think that's ever really a thing shown in the movies. Definitely wasn't shown in this first movie, but I don't really remember that in future movies either. And like, we need that sass. So, kind of bummed about that one. I also wish that we got the scene from the book where Hermione got to use logic on the potions when going after the Sorcerer's Stone. I mean, we got to see her smart brains in the beginning of that adventure to get the Sorcerer's Stone, but I wish we would have seen that part because that was just like a cool logic thing to see like her work out in the book. Other than that, I think there's probably a couple small things. Oh, the biggest thing. I say the biggest. It happened at the beginning, and it's just one of those things that reminds me of like how the world works. But okay, when Hagrid first came to get Harry and he was explaining to him like, you're a wizard and stuff. So in the book, he's like, Harry, you're a wizard. But in the movie, it's like the iconic phrase that everyone says from Harry Potter, and it's, you're a wizard, Harry. But it's reversed in the book. It's just one of those odd things that like stuck out to me because everyone's saying that quote, that phrase. Yeah, that was interesting. I really enjoyed doing this. I'm so looking forward to book 2. Today we are reading book 2 of Harry Potter, so it's Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Now, it's honestly been a couple weeks since I read that last book, so I'm excited to kind of just spend some time reading today and get back into this world.
I've been deeper, but I have to stay afloat. It's not easy. Be a person you don't want. Can somebody say me other thing going to do?
Okay, I just wanted to hop on and give a quick reading update. So I'm about 100 pages in, which is chapter 7. And so the Chamber of Secrets, this is the one where like Dobby first comes to visit Harry, and Harry's out there thinking like, it's summer break and Ron and Hermione aren't sending me any letters like they said they would, like what's going on? And then Ron and his brothers break him out of the Dudleys, and him and Ron end up using the car to fly to Hogwarts, and it's just like so iconic, like so iconic. I love that. So it's been enjoyable just kind of reading about it and like the additional details obviously that are going to be in here and not in the movies. So we'll see how that continues here, but now they're just starting their second year and we'll see. I will say, like, I did not like Professor Lockhart, I think is his name. Yeah, like the famous one that all the girls are like giddy, oh my god, you know. Like, I didn't like him in the movies. Like, that character just annoyed me, and like he's annoying me here too. It's just like constant eye rolls. I'm like, god, you're just so annoying. I'm gonna continue reading on, but I just wanted to kind of give an update now that I'm at the 100-page mark. Okay, another 100 pages, another reading update. So I just finished chapter 11. So I'm on page like 205, I think. And we've just gotten to the point where like the Chamber of Secrets have already been opened. Everyone's obviously like scared and worried about it. Everyone just learned that Harry can talk to snakes. And he didn't think that was weird. I mean, this is only the second time that he's done it in the dueling chapter, but it's like when Snape and Lockhart come together to teach the basics of like defense against possible dark arts. So the whole snake scene happened there, and he was like, yeah, I told the snake to like back off Justin, and they're like, Harry, that's not what we heard. Like, you were talking in that language. And he's like, oh, well, I mean, yeah, like that happens. Like, hello, the whole Dudley situation at the zoo. I'm sure many wizards can do that. And he's like he being Ron's like, no, no, many wizards can't do that. So I get why everyone's scared at Hogwarts. I get why them seeing Harry do that, they're like, for sure, the heir of Slytherin. Yeah. So it's fun seeing more of this. And man, I just still don't like Lockhart. Colin's annoying. Like, Colin, seriously, fangirl. Too much. And then poor Peeves. Man, poor Peeves. I just wish he could have been in the movies.
Where's a live I? Where's my shy head? Is this called living? I don't know. Where's the live I? Where's my shy head?
Okay, I just finished book 2. I'm excited to watch the movie now because I want to see what little things are different in this. Like, I've watched these movies so many times, but when it comes to like the small details, I don't always remember. So I'm excited to watch it and see kind of what is different, especially in that last half of the book, and like what little details are revealed to us and like the way things are described. I'm interested to see how well the movie kind of shows that and describes that information. Okay, I'll see you when we start the movie. Okay, we're about to start the movie, but guys, I went to Target today and look what they had. Harry Potter themed Hershey Kisses. Now, I love chocolate and I love Hershey Kisses. So evidently on the back, they have just like all the different houses and then kind of just some Hogwarts themed ones. So we should just open these now. I agree. This is, you're a wizard, Harry. This is what I'm talking about. It says, you're a wizard, Harry. But in the book, it's Harry, you're a wizard, I'm pretty sure. There's a reverse in that. Oh my god. Mischief managed. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with these right now, but I am. So, I have these and then the Hershey Kisses, and then we are going to start the second movie. Okay, I just finished the movie. Oh my god. All the feelings. Because when I read the book, I was envisioning the movie, but at the same time, it just hits different when you're just like watching it. Like I felt all the things, felt them all, and I did write down things on my notes app that I wanted to talk about, like differences that I've like noticed, I guess, in watching the movie. I wish that we would have heard or seen, I guess, the conversation between Draco and his dad when in the book Harry goes to Diagon Alley, but he says it wrong using the flu powder, so he ends up in a wrong part, like further away, and he enters the shop, and Draco and his dad are there, and he overhears a conversation going on where it's like Draco's dad is selling bad things to this shop so that the Ministry of Magic won't raid his house and like he won't be in trouble and stuff, and it's referencing then like the Weasleys, like Ron's dad's job in that. Now that I think about it, I don't think that plot was ever even gone beyond that at all in the movie, because I swear in the book Draco discloses that Ron's dad loses his job like after Ron, Harry, and the car incident. Like I swear that was a thing. I don't think that happened in the movie. I mean, yay, Ron's dad still has his job, but I don't think that happened in the movie. So I just wish we would have heard that, because it was just, I like that plot. Unless I'm like crazy, Lockhart didn't announce his job when he was doing the book signing. Like he was like, oh, Harry gets all my books. And I was like, oh, this guy. But that plot line is so different in the movie, because he doesn't announce that he's the new dark arts teacher, and he doesn't have then the same interactions with Harry as much. So I still remember like not liking his character and like, oh god, major eye roll. But like in the book, it's so much worse, where I'm like, literally get this guy out of here. But at least in the movie it was like reeled back a little. Same with the book signing. There was no fight between Arthur and Lucius. I was so mad. Like, hello, the dads were supposed to get in a brawl, and then Hagrid's supposed to be like, Arthur, you know the Malfoys are bad. Don't fall for it. I wanted the fight. I wanted it. I thought it would have been good. Guys, there was no nearly headless Nick Death Day party, and that is just truly devastating, because that whole thing was supposed to be nearly headless Nick getting the endorsement of Harry to join that headless hunt club thing. We needed that. Nearly headless Nick needed that. If we can't get Peeves, at least give me nearly headless Nick's Death Day party. God, it's a tongue twister. Okay, this is something I think was different. That I'm like, I don't know, I mean, it was just kind of played out differently in the movie of how Harry gets the journal and interacts with it in the beginning. Like, it's just, I think things were kind of just out of turn in the movie, which it was fine, it worked out, but I was like, they just acted like Harry got the journal and then he's just like gonna write his feelings in a journal. Like, I don't think that happened in the book. I feel like the book, like, he found it and stuff, but then he's like, oh, it's empty, and it was immediately Hermione's like, well, it could be invisible ink and stuff. But, like, that didn't happen in the movie, and I'm like, well, that just would have made way more sense than me thinking Harry Potter's gonna write in a diary. I don't know. I mean, it was fine. It didn't really take away from the story, but I'm just like, oh, what? This is just a question I have. Like, maybe I've missed this, and I could probably Google it. But if, like, you know, and you can just tell me, that'd be so great. But how does Tom know about future Tom? Like, how does Tom Riddle know about future Tom Riddle and, like, what he does? Because I know that Ginny, like, in the book, it discloses more about Ginny was writing to him and, like, wrote about Harry Potter, but, like, I don't think Ginny just went on this whole thing about Harry Potter's entire life to kind of talk about Voldemort and everything. So, unless that is the case, I just didn't think that was. Like, I feel like Ginny was just writing about her feelings. So, can just someone tell me how Tom knows about future Tom things? Oh, this is just a comment I had. It happened at the bookstore, and then it's at the end with Harry in Dumbledore's office, but, like, Lucius. The way that they all be acting towards children blows my mind. Like, the way that Lucius acted towards Harry, Ron, and Hermione at the bookstore, as if, like, they're these grown people. Like, I just feel like he's giving them a lot more credit than being, like, 12. Like, he's just like, oh, like, this super serious thing, and, like, kind of chest to chest. And I'm like, you're talking to a 12-year-old. What? Like, it didn't make sense to me, honestly. You just, like, take a step back, and you're like, you're acting like this towards a 12-year-old. Like, That's embarrassing. Same thing with the way he acted towards him in Dumbledore's office. Like, it's just like, what? And the last thing that just kind of made me chuckle was like, this happens in the book and the movie, but it was funny seeing Snape and Hermione having the same like disgust when they announced the exams were going to be canceled. I thought it was funny. Like Snape as just like the mean professor that's like, what do you mean you're taking away the exams I'm going to fail my students with? And then Hermione's like, what? Like, no exams, like this is terrible. And I just thought that was the funniest thing, that they had a bonding moment and they don't really know it. I love that movie. That was so fun. On to book 3. Okay, today I'm starting book 3, so like always, I'll update you along the way. Okay, so I just reached chapter 7. That's about 120 pages in, and I just love this world so much. This is the 3rd book, so it is The Prisoner of Azkaban, and I feel like this is one that I often forget the details of anytime I take a break from watching the movies, or the occasional times I've tried to start this book series all the way through, but I just love being reminded of all the things in this world. And so at this point, Harry's blown up his aunt. Well, blow up as in, like, expand. Remember, like, expands her into pretty much a balloon, which pretty epic. And, like, so he kind of just ran away from home. Now they're all at Hogwarts, and Hagrid's had his first day. They all know of Sirius Black, and Harry's like, no, I know what you're talking about. But, like, he doesn't know yet what everyone's really talking about. And then we have the new dark arts professor. We love this one. We love him. We haven't really, like, we got introduced to him on the train, but they haven't had, like, a class with him yet. I just love this world. And this is also a really good book. I love Sirius Black, honestly. So I am excited to, like, read him getting introduced at this point. But yeah, that's my update so far. I'm going to continue reading, and I'll check in with you later. Okay, quick little update. So I'm now on chapter 15, which is about page 300, so I have about 100 pages left. And we've had Professor Lupin help teach Harry how to protect himself against the Dementors, which is so clutch. And we've also been introduced to the Martyrs map, which is so fun and iconic, though Snape did just catch him with it and Lupin took it away. But yeah, other than that, we also have Harry completely slaying on his new broomstick. So we're literally heading into the Quidditch final right now. We'll just see how these last 300 pages end up. I know the last 100 pages of this, I'm sure, are just going to be crazy because the ending of this is just crazy. At this point, the only Sirius Black things that we've had is Ron being woken up in the middle of the night seeing Sirius, and then them learning that he did get into the Gryffindor quarters because he did know the passwords. Thanks to Neville. Neville, stop writing things down. So we'll see how this all ends in the next 100 pages. Okay, I'm now on chapter 21, which is page 386. So I probably have about like 20-30 pages left. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be the end of me. So chapter 21 is titled Hermione's Secret, and throughout this book we have gotten glimpses of Ron and Harry being like, Hermione, how are you taking like 10 classes? Like half of these are overlapped with each other, like what's going on? And she's like, don't worry about it. I worked it out with Professor McGonagall, like we're fine. But like it's finally gonna be revealed to the reader and everything about how she's been making it all work, which is just so epic. Like I love this part of the movie and seeing it all unfold and just like connect. And we've just gotten through Sirius coming back and Harry learning the truth and Lupin and Peter, Snape coming in. That's a bit awkward, but my heart is also just hurting right now for Sirius, and we'll see, obviously, reading about it, how it all ends up. But like this is my favorite part of the movie, just seeing it all unfold and like seeing how it all connects again. So I'm excited to finish this. I just finished the third book. Ugh, it's so good. It's so good. I love those last couple chapters. Just, it's so epic. Honestly, epic. So, I'm excited to watch the movie. Okay, we're ready to start the third movie. I just want to say that this has genuinely been such a fun experience because I don't really do this. I don't read a book and then watch the movie or TV show adaptation, so this is new for me, but it being Harry Potter, like, I've already watched the movies. I already know what happens in the movies. So as I'm reading each book and then immediately following it with the movie, it's just been fun for me to kind of spot the difference. I know that there are small things that are different, and generally they follow the books pretty well. So it's just been something that is enjoyable versus, oh, like, I don't like this because it's not how it was in the book. I'm just like, well, I already knew that was happening. I already knew that's how they did it in the movie. So it's just been fun and enjoyable. So I just wanted to say that as we enter into the third movie. Okay, I just finished the movie. I have this definite newfound appreciation for movie 3 and book 3. Like, just everything that happens in the third book and movie, I just loved it. I loved so much of it. I think I mentioned when I first started the book that this is one that I often forget a lot of the details, and I think I'm going to remember a lot more just because it was so good. It was so good. Just like the first two movies, I went ahead and wrote down the differences that I saw from the book and the movie. Now, sometimes it's like, oh, I wish they would have played it out like the book, and others are like, oh, I'm glad that they had this in the movie like this versus the book. The first one is at the beginning. Like, that went by so quickly. I swear within a minute, that ant was like expanded and blown out the door. Like, up and away. And I was like, wait, what just happened? Like, that happened so quick. And so something I wish we had from the book was seeing Harry's power play and like leverage against his Uncle Vernon, where his uncle was like, you better listen, you better pay attention, you better behave, you better remember the school that I said you're going to, because I'm not letting my sister know that you go to Hogwarts, like whatever that is. And Harry's like, oh, I think it would help me remember if you signed my permission form for Hogsmeade. And like, that was just so iconic, and I just wish that we would have had that because it was nice to see Harry stick up for himself and really have some type of leverage in that situation. The next thing I wish we would have had is in the book when they first started term, they had Snape's class first, and then they went to the dark arts with Professor Lupin. And in that transition, Snape essentially like made fun of Neville and like kind of threw him under the bus to Professor Lupin and just kind of threw a dig, right? And Lupin defended Neville and was like, oh, like, I was hoping to have him, you know, like, help me with this first lesson, and, like, I plan to have him do that. But it was in a way that, like, gave Neville this sort of confidence and, like, oh, like, a professor standing up for me and also standing up against Snape. And that was just so nice to see and, like, good for Neville and for Snape, sir. So I do wish we could have had that moment in there. Like, I just feel like that could have been nice. This next one I did not like. I was like, what in tarnation? So I don't know if I'm just like losing my mind on what I read in the book. It's all about how Harry learned about Sirius, like how Sirius was his parents' best friend and how he was the one that knew their location. That's the information that Harry was learning, and then that Sirius was his godfather. And the way he learned this information, or overheard, to be clear, overheard this information in the book was he snuck into Hogsmeade with his invisibility cloak and the Martyr's Map, iconic, love that for him. And he was with Hermione and Ron in this sort of pub where like they had butterbeer. Like, I mean, they weren't drinking alcohol. It was a pub like where many like families and young kids could go. And in the movie, the way it came about was like the professors were outside of this pub where only adults went in, and Harry like overheard them kind of talking about like, oh, Sirius, oh, Harry. And it was like, what? And so he snuck into this pub, went into this room that only the professors were in. It was just kind of like standing in a corner listening and observing secretively, and like it was so different than what I remembered reading. So I was like, wait, am I crazy? Like, is that what happened? I swear that didn't happen. Like, he just overheard the conversation in the pub with his friends in the book. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's a tough one, my dude. But, like, in the movie, it just played out so different. And I was like, what? I just didn't like that. That's something I wish we would have had as the original way. Okay, this last one, in my opinion, is, like, the biggest deal. It's kind of one of those... You're a wizard, Harry, versus Harry, you're a wizard. Like, just certain things that so many people talk about from the Harry Potter world that, like, did not happen like that in the book. And this is a huge one. So, in the book, they get out of the tree with finding Peter. They're, you know, tugging him along to go to the castle. Yay. But then Lupin didn't take his potion, and he's going to be turning into a werewolf. So he turns into a werewolf, and like him and Sirius have this battle, and it's like, and like things happen, right? But in the movie, Snape is way more involved. Like in the book, Snape is knocked out cold through the entire thing. He's just kind of floating there with magic as they help get him to the castle, just so like he wakes up in the hospital, right? But like in the movie, he comes running out of the tree and like, oh, Harry Potter, there you are. And then immediately sees the werewolf trying to attack the three of the kids. And he immediately jumps in to protect them and to like shield them. And this is so iconic in the world, like our reality world. Like there's so many posts made about this and so much about Snape's character. And like, see, like it's so interesting because Snape always hates Harry. But like this is him instantly protecting them without second thought, you know. And it is Snape, and it is his character, and it is the way he's thinking, but that's not what happened in the book. And I loved this part of the movie, like seeing that little bit of Snape, because we all know he cares, okay? We all know he does, and this was so big. So that was so weird to see and like realize, because I didn't realize it while reading. And I watched that, and I was like, wait. In the book, homie was knocked out cold. So that was just so weird to me, and that's something that's just so talked about across platforms like social media and whatever. So that was just a weird one for me. Like, it's so iconic that that's what they have on the background of like the title page. Like, guys, I'm sorry. What? Like, this just didn't happen. But it's that important that that's what they're using right now as the title page. That was so fun for me though. I really enjoyed it. I think I have this newfound appreciation for this third movie, and it's a top one for me. On to the fourth. Okay, we're starting the fourth book, which is the last book for part one of this series, and I'm just so excited to get into this because the fourth movie has always been my favorite, and I've only ever read to like the halfway point of this book, so I'm just excited to get more information about it and just kind of relive the fourth movie through the book, which is not normally how that goes. So let's get going. I know this is going to take me a few days. Okay, I was popping in to give a quick little reading update. So I just finished chapter 9, which is the Quidditch World Cup chapter. So I'm 145 pages in, and it's just so atmospheric, honestly. I love this part of the movie, like just seeing all the wizarding people brought into one place to celebrate a wizarding sport. Like, that's pretty dope. I'm a sports girly, so I just like seeing that brought to life, and then like reading about it and getting way more details was so enjoyable. So I've read a decent chunk so far, and it's been fun. Okay, it's been fun. I'm excited to watch the movie because I'm seeing way more details in here, and it's been honestly quite a while since I've seen the movie, so I know that it's my favorite, and I know I love it so much, but at the same time, there are details that I forget. So I'm interested to see kind of what those differences are, what's left out, and like seeing if that matters to me or not. So I'm going to continue along with this, and I'll give you another update later on. Okay, I'm just popping in to give another little update. So I'm now on chapter 16, which is page 248. And I believe since my last update, the kids have gone back to Hogwarts. Classes have started. We've been introduced to the new dark arts professor, which is Professor Moody. What a guy. Pretty quirky. But I love that on the first day of classes, he's like, I'm only here for the year. Like, this is a favor to Dumbledore, so, you know, don't get attached. And I just also think that is just so nice of him, because these kids go through it, right? I mean, new professor every single year, at least they can emotionally prepare. He will not be there next year. Then the other big thing is the kids have learned about the Triwizard Tournament. So, of course, Dumbledore, being the trickster, goofy guy he is, he's like, Quidditch is canceled for the year. And then, like, all the students are in uproar and, like, about to have a mental breakdown. And he's like, no. But, like, wait, it gets better. And I'm like, this guy. Who let him in charge? You know what I mean? And guys, I'm literally dying. The next chapter, chapter 16, is the Goblet of Fire, which we all know contains the biggest difference of the book and the movie. And it's just so funny. So I'm excited to just read that single line and, like, die of laughter. Now, the big overarching plot that I forgot is definitely not in the movie is Hermione and her elves' rights. The woman is fighting. She's going to bat for these guys. And I do kind of remember that from the first time that I read this, but I know that it's not in the movie, but it's a huge part of this book. So that's just been something that I remembered, and I was like, oh, right. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to continue reading this, and I'll probably update you tomorrow. Okay, it's the next day, and I just want to pop in and give another reading update. So I just finished what I wanted to read for today. So I've reached chapter 27, which is page 509, right? Wow. Okay. And I believe my last update, we were heading into the whole Goblet of Fire thing, and I was very much looking forward to that chapter. I was so sad when I realized that chapter ends on Harry's name being drawn out and Dumbledore saying it. So it wasn't until the following chapter that I read this morning that we got the iconic moment of Dumbledore asking Harry calmly if he put his name in the Goblet of Fire. It just makes me laugh, honestly. But since that point, up till now, we had the Triwizard Tournament start. We had the first challenge with the dragons. Then we had the ball. That's a story in and of itself. And then we just completed the second challenge. Like, that's what just ended. And now we're, like, moving past that. And I'm very excited because this chapter is titled Padfoot Returns. And I'm like, hell yeah, he does. Hell yeah. So I'm very much looking forward to finishing up this book tomorrow. But I did go ahead and already make notes that when I was, like, thinking about the movie, I was like, I don't recall that playing out like that. So I made notes so that when I'm watching the movie, I kind of remember, because this book is so thick and there's a lot that goes on. So I didn't want to forget anything that I'm thinking about. But I am so enjoying this book, and I think it's just so interesting. I think I mentioned this maybe in the third book movie situation at some point. That's like, I enjoy noticing the differences because they don't take away from the story all that much. So I've enjoyed just like, I love Harry Potter so much, and I'm like aware that this is a difference. Like, that's just enjoyable for me. So I've kind of enjoyed that about here in that book. I'll probably give you an update tomorrow. I don't know if it'll be when I finish the book or if I'll give you one update prior to finishing it, but I know this last like third of the book is gonna be intense, honestly, because this movie gets intense quickly. Once the Triwizard Tournament starts, I'm like, that last challenge, yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. Not looking forward to that. Obviously, we finished the book and jumped right into the movie. I will say, though, when that movie ended, your girl was so tired. I was so tired, and I wrote down many things to talk about, so no way in hell could I sit and talk about it after the movie. But after a well night's sleep, now we're here. Let's talk about Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. So I definitely have a list of smaller things that I noticed, but two overarching big things that were in the book and not in the movie. One, Hermione fighting for the elves' rights. Like, go Hermione, but that really didn't take away from the plot all that much. So that was just kind of fun to read about in the book. But the big thing that was so altered in the movie was everything to do with Crouch and his son. That was so different. So starting from like beginning to end, I do not recall in the book Harry ever seeing a third person with Voldemort and Wormtail, like outside of the groundskeeper situation. But I do not recall Harry ever seeing Crouch's son. Like at the time he wouldn't have known it was Crouch's son, but he just wasn't involved in that part. So I don't recall that being a part of the book, but definitely was in the movie. Fast forwarding to the whole Quidditch World Cup thing, like that kind of whole thing played out differently. Yes, you get more, obviously, of the actual World Cup in the book, but I'm talking about when everyone was, like, escaping and running away. Harry gets trampled and is, like, knocked out in the middle of the field. What? What? Okay. But two, we clearly see Crouch's son calling for the Dark Mark there. And I guess because we didn't have, like, the elves' involvement really throughout this book, like, in the movie, then we didn't have Winky. And so when Crouch arrives with everyone and they're like, who called the Dark Mark, you know, and like yelling at the three teenagers, okay, Mr. Crouch didn't go like looking around for who did it. And that's obviously a big part of the book, or a relevant detail, because that's where he kind of finds that it's his son. So that really wasn't a part of the movie, and we as a viewer clearly saw that it was Mr. Crouch's son. The kind of other bigger thing with Crouch and his son, like everything, is that Harry learns that it's Crouch's son through the trials, and that is an accurate statement from the book. But Crouch's son was already found to be a part of Voldemort's thing, so he was already like arrested, but he was found guilty in the trials amongst 3 other members, and it was just kind of like, yeah, you're guilty, go back to Azkaban, right? But in the movie, he was found guilty because someone called him out. Like, someone's like, that guy was a part of this. And he was just sitting in the stands and then, like, tried to run away. And then that's when Crouch was like, oh, my son's not my son. Like, it was just so different. It was so different. And I feel like that was a huge plot line that I liked about the book, and just, like, all the details that surrounded it, and, like, everything coming full circle in the end. Like, oh, like, that's how all this makes sense. Because we didn't have his son dying in Azkaban, like switching places with his wife, like all that happened in the book. So I was like, man, it's kind of lame. Like, I just didn't really like that part of how it played out in the movie versus the book. Something that I really wish we would have had is more of the Weasleys that were shown in the book. So we had the twins really fighting for, honestly, like their future, and like thinking about a game plan of what they'll do when they graduate. And a lot of that was to do with all of their trickster ways. And so they like gambled at the beginning of the World Cup, and they got their earnings, and there's this whole thing with Bagman, and Bagman's not involved in this movie at all. But I like that plot line, because in the end, when Harry, in the book, when Harry like won the Triwizard Tournament, then he got his earnings and he was able to just give them to the twins, and like, it's an investment in your future, you know? And I like that, because obviously the Weasleys don't come from money. And so it was just this clear way of like Harry being able to help without having to quite literally give them his money. Like, they wouldn't have probably taken it if Harry's just like, here's from my bank, but it's like, here's my earnings, I do not need this, there you go. Like, I don't know, I did like that part. It's not a huge like, it's missing from the plot, you know, like, but it's just an addition that I liked in the book. Oh my god. Okay, jumping past the whole Quidditch World Cup thing, those other schools were showing up to Hogwarts like wildfire. We had no warning about that. They were just like, oh, all of a sudden we have 2 different schools coming in, and Hogwarts is like, yep, Triwizard Tournament. I'm like, there was no warning. No warning going on here. Oh my god. I'm so sorry, Percy. Totally mentioned Crouch and his son, but that whole plot line was so different, because Percy also was not involved at all. Crouch is like pretty much missing the entire Triwizard Tournament, and Percy is taking his place and doing all these things, and there's all of this mystery with it. Not there in the movie at all. And that was just such a different plot line. Like, so different. That I feel like it really did take away from what we were reading in the book and how everything was playing out. Like, I just really like that. Just gotta throw that in there. I wanted to know this because I know this while reading this, but like, huge bummer. Moody doesn't tell the kids that he's only there for 1 year. And I was like, in the book, I was like, man, that's so nice of him. He's like, I'm only here for 1 year and then I'm out. So like, no emotional attachments to your dark arts professor. He didn't tell him that. He just said, I'm here for Dumbledore. Okay, this didn't really take away from the plot that much, but I was just really enjoying reading about it in the book, was Harry learning all the different spells before each of the challenges in the Triwizard Tournament. So we just didn't get him like really training with Hermione for that. So that was just kind of like bummer, because he's like jump in and like, oh, okay, I guess he's gonna figure that out. Like, good luck, Harry. But I like that training element that he was doing and practicing all the spells and everything. Moving to Harry meeting Voldemort. I just had one thing to write down. Like, Harry's 14. Like, Voldemort, seriously? Get a hobby. Like, that's just so pathetic. Like, get some therapy, get some help. Like, you're battling a 14-year-old. Seriously. Seriously, like, what is this? Something that didn't really take away from the plot, but just I liked how it played out in the book more, was to do with Professor Moody kind of being caught as the one behind all this, like, Professor Moody. But at first, Harry's just like, Professor Moody, you know, like, you're the one. But in the movie, Harry realizes that Moody knows more than he's letting on, because he slips up asking about the graveyard. And then Harry's like, wait, I didn't tell you that I was in a graveyard with Voldemort. Like, so that's just kind of like the slip up. And that's how Harry's like, wait a minute. But in the book, Moody just starts talking. Like, he just gives himself away, like, not slipping up. He's just talking and like asking all the questions. Like, how does Voldemort treat everyone that like were claiming to be loyal to him but weren't really, all these things. And I was like, oh, that's not good. But in the movie, it was just different. And I liked how it was in the book. The last thing that I wrote down really is taking away from the plot, and I'm like so sad that it wasn't there, is everything to do with like post Triwizard Tournament events. So yes, Moody's caught, great, well, Moody's caught, ends up being Crouch's son, like, you know, but the whole thing with Harry, Snape, Sirius, Dumbledore, Fudge, not there, right? And in the book, Dumbledore tells him that Sirius is in his office waiting for him. So Harry goes with him and he tells Sirius and Dumbledore everything that happened with Voldemort. And then after that, obviously Harry's exhausted, right? Homeboy's been through a lot. So Dumbledore takes him to the hospital wing. Sirius stays with him in his transfiguration. And then Snape and Fudge come in and everyone's talking, and Fudge is being a total jerk about it all. And it's like not believing Harry, not believing anyone, that Voldemort's back. And then we get this interaction with Snape and Sirius where one... Dumbledore makes them shake hands. It's like, we gotta work together, guys. But because of Fudge's like backlash on the whole situation, then Dumbledore like sends off all these different assignments for people. Like, he's like, Sirius, you go do this. Snape, you go do this. I think McGonagall was involved. And like, none of that happened. And I was just like, what? Like, that took away from the plot, in my opinion. Like, I was just like, we needed that. I needed that. Why wasn't this in here? Any part of it. That one just hurt. That one hurt my feelings, for sure. Book 4, movie 4, I think it's still a top 1 for me. I really enjoyed so much of this book, and I think this overall experience of just reading the book and then watching the movie and being able to compare the two so easily, that was so enjoyable for me. Like, I just really liked seeing those differences and seeing like, wait, this is really how this could have played out if we like really stuck to the book 100%, and then seeing like where I did like certain things that they did in the movie instead of the book. So I love this experience. If you made it this far, 1, thank you. 2, let me know any recommendations you have for this series. I definitely want to finish the Harry Potter ones, obviously, and there are other ones I have written down, but if there's specific books to movie, TV show adaptations that you want to see, please let me know. And with that, that concludes episode 1 of my Read and Watch series. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.